In this session, you will learn how to train AI to create copy and content that sounds like your authentic voice. And this is something a lot of people I find struggling with, especially with ChatGPT and different AI tools. And I have an expert with me today. Her name is Amy Yamada. I've known her for quite a long time. She's a VIP Day expert, business coach, and speaker with over 22 years in marketing, sales, and business development. I didn't know it had that long in it, but that's pretty impressive. And I've been on one of her summits a long time ago. That's how I first connected with her. But now we reconnected again when I saw she's doing a lot of cool things with AI, and I'm really happy to have you here, Amy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Navid, for having me. I'm super excited as well. It's such a fun topic this year for sure. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's start where how did you get into this? Because I know you have done business coaching and things like that forever. You have done, as I said, 22 years in marketing. Then I don't know how long you have been business coaching, but you have done
Yeah.
this for a while. And then AI came, a few years, I guess, to the masses with Jasper and Copy.ai and things like that. I don't know when you stumbled across it and got into this.
No, it's a great question. So I've had my business for almost 12 years now. And even prior to that, I worked in the corporate world and I've always in the media. And my point is I've always worked in a business or my own business where one of the core elements is messaging and communication, building a relationship with the audience. And so I didn't get into AI until the end of last year. So end of 2022 when ChatGPT came out. And I know there are people who've been in it a lot longer than me, and I've met some incredible like AI superpower users. But at the end of last year, I remember being introduced to ChatGPT, and my mind was immediately blown by the productivity and the efficiency of it. About how I could go in there and just tell it to write a promotional email copy for me or something along those lines. But the response that I would get, I thought, wow, this is amazing that it can do this, but it doesn't sound like my voice. And even as I started to put in, a lot of people put in like words like, oh, make it conversational or put it in the style of this. I would start to play with those prompts, but it still didn't feel like me. Right. And so I really wanted to find a way using what I've done for over 2 decades now to really think about how I want to leverage this tool to build an authentic relationship with my audience as I have for many years. Otherwise, I was refusing to use it because I thought it doesn't sound like me. I'm not going to use it. So
Yeah.
right. It all started with just being curious about it and experimenting with it. And then I got deep into it. And that's when I really found that using my own framework around it and really focused on training it on my authentic voice. And then it has evolved to also training it on my ideal client's authentic voice so we could really have that wonderful communication. So it's
I
been
think we have a
really
lot to dive into in this session based on what you just shared. But
right.
I'm just curious, like, what did you find the most challenging when you got into it? Was it like just how to prompt it to do the right thing, or what's kind of some
Yeah,
challenges and maybe some mistakes you see your clients and customers do?
for sure. What I've seen, what I first experienced, what I've seen as well is that we can be so blown away by the productivity of it that the quality of the output can be secondary when I really want to make sure the quality is the top priority. And so what I've noticed is that people will put in these prompts and the response will be kind of good enough, which I know good enough is better than nothing. But I just think that at the end of the day, if you are in a business where you care about building a real relationship with your audience, then bringing in this authenticity piece is so needed. And so even for me early on, I thought, gosh, I really don't want to just leverage this for productivity or even just getting my message out in front of more people because I can do it so much faster. I want to make sure that this authenticity piece was at the core of it. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just,
It's
we're all
just
using.
interesting. It's just interesting people's take on this because I find it, yeah, as you said, to get it to give great output, this can be challenging, but it also depends on what you give it. As you said, you have, I mean, I'm sure we can get into some of that, kind of how you do it, but what's a little bit your process behind it, like from start to finish? Because you start with the messaging, for example, your clients, like about getting clear on your ideal client, or what do you give it to actually get this great output?
Been so good. It's funny. Uh, just in recent months, I've focused more on like going much, much deeper with the ideal client. Early on, I was focused on my authentic voice or helping my clients with their authentic voice, right? And
I
so
mean, as you get better, yeah. It's like you evolve with AI. You
yeah,
evolve because in the beginning you feel like you cannot do everything because it's a little difficult. You're getting crap answers. I just spoke to, as I mentioned in the preach, I spoke to Connor Grennan. Basically, like if you hire someone in your business, for example, an intern, are they gonna know exactly everything in your business right off the bat? No, you're gonna train it. It's the same with AI. So treat it more human-like. I think that's where we are going a little bit. I think people who just want to give it like this super prompt and then expect it to do magic, it's going to be very disappointed. So I'm sure that's where you're coming from as well. So that's why you have this, like, you want it to speak in an authentic way.
Yeah, definitely. And also just thinking about, and it's just like, okay, if you hired a copywriter, right? I've hired great copywriters over the
Mhm.
years. If I hired a copywriter, similar to your intern concept, right? Example, and I said, okay, copywriter, here, write an email for me about my upcoming workshop and give it back to me, within the next day, right? They would say, hold on, wait, I need to get to know you. I need to get to know your authentic ideal client. What is your messaging? What are your core values? What is this workshop about? What are the benefits of the workshop? Why should somebody come to the workshop, right? It's like a really great copywriter would sit down and interview you to get to know you, your voice, your messaging, your brand. And so to me, using AI has been really great when you focus on really giving it what it needs, just like you would give a team member what they need to be successful. So one of the first things that I discovered was having, for example, ChatGPT interview me versus me just telling it what to do. Like,
Okay.
if I just told it, like, okay, you are a copywriter or you are a professional interviewer, interview me one question at a time, right? And then I would give it responses and then I would have it write a bio on my answers. And so it was really interesting to play with it in that way, to just have a dialogue with it and see what it could come up with based on my answers.
I think that is a really great way to do it and less overwhelming for people as well. If you start off with this super prompt, or like a lot of people, they talk about, hey, this the prompt here and prompt. I think also what I've seen a lot of people I've spoken to, we're moving away a little bit away from like just prompts. I think it's going to be more promptless actually. And actually it's going to be built into different tools, right? I think that's where we are moving, and that's just going to be easier. I'm sure many of your clients don't have time to prompt all day, and things like that. And you probably don't have that time either. You just want to
Right.
get clear on what you're doing and speed up your workflow, because that's what it is all about. You're running businesses, not just being all in ChatGPT all day. That can be less productive, actually, I find it. So yeah, but like going into this, like go over your process for doing it. You can probably share some examples as well when you share screen and things like that, where you can demonstrate as we
Yeah.
go if you want. So you can like showcase a few different use cases in your business. That would be interesting, especially like when it comes to coming up with the authentic trained AI. Like, so it's gonna sound like you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing that's my partner Ken and I came up with is what we call a heart speech model.
Okay.
And we wrote a digital book at the beginning of the year on this because we just got so deep into it. We were staying up till like 3 a.m. every night, just like experimenting and just geeking out on it. And so we wrote this digital book, and we decided to give it away for free. It's called The Ultimate Guide to ChatGPT for Online Coaches. And what we discovered over time was that even agency owners and other entrepreneurs, they didn't have to be coaches to take advantage of this. But in that guide, we walk you through the heart speech model that really focuses initially on like just bringing it back down to foundational communication, right? Where there's a sender and a receiver, and then there's the message. And so the sender is you, the receiver is your audience, your potential clients. And then what is the message you want to have come through? And really what we discovered was that if we can really dial in the authenticity piece. So what I mean by that is there's a few things that I've done in my own business and that I've been teaching my clients inside this 4-week program called Authentic Marketing with AI, where we said to initially we use ChatGPT for this, have ChatGPT summarize your unique voice, meaning we have a prompt that tells ChatGPT to analyze your writing style or your voice. And then you put in one of your writing samples, and then it comes back with these 7 elements of communication to describe and summarize your unique voice. So that way basically it's like you end up having an output that describes your voice in these 7 different ways with your like grammar, vocabulary, content patterns, tone, style, values, right? It has these different elements. And then you get that output and then you feed it back in when you prompt it. So that way, like
Okay.
you will have your unique voice because you're giving it a writing sample so that it can analyze how you like to be represented in your communication.
How
So
long usually do you upload like a PDF of something you've written, or a blog post, or what do you do?
or an email, a blog post. Sometimes people will pull a few paragraphs from a book they've written. Just a few paragraphs is totally fine. And so they'll put our prompt in there, and then they'll put their sample, and then they'll get back this
What do you usually put? What do you usually write to get the great output? What do you in the prompt? What do you usually do to get the like you just ask, hey, here's some writing sound. What do you do so people get it?
Yeah, so I'll be happy to just give it to you. Navid, if you want to share it.
Yeah, if you want to share it, we can share it, and even you can share if you want to share a little bit screen and demonstrate if you have it up there. If you can, we can showcase a little bit an example and maybe some of the custom instructions. I'm sure you put like custom instructions and things like that to make it go further. Why don't you explain a little bit of the process for doing that and what kind of prompt you give it to get like your authentic self in ChatGPT?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm happy to share this with you. So essentially it tells ChatGPT to summarize the writing style below by describing the writer's voice using what we call the XY list. X:Y is a prompting framework we use. So again, I'll give this to you so people can just copy and paste this, but summarize writing style below by describing the writer's voice using an XY list, where X is the subject and Y is the description, as demonstrated in this example. It says vocabulary, and then a description of vocabulary tendencies would go next to it. And then it says analyze the author's style, tone, vocabulary, grammar, rhetorical devices, content patterns, and values. Describe these extensively without giving any specific examples. Use the text below for analysis that could be applied to any piece or topic on this author may write. So I know it's a bit lengthy. But then once you have that and you put your own writing sample beneath it, it'll come back and share with you a description of each of these 7 different components. So that way your response is now an input, right? The response you get is like your unique writing style that is different from anybody else's. So that way when you use it as a part of a prompt, then the output will be very distinguished from other copywriting.
Yeah, so basically this is the basics for getting like, for example, you do a lot of things in your business. You're writing sales pages, you're writing emails, you're working with clients when you're speaking to them and things like that. So can you explain, you're getting this output now, which is really specific to your business and things like that and your ideal client. What do you do with this to actually translate into different things that has a real use case that might drive revenue or just kind of more engagement or whatever that might be?
Yeah, so we've actually developed a tool where we can plug that in and have all these other selections. I know one of the things you and I were talking about even before we started this interview was that we want to save time, right? So even though ChatGPT and Claude and all these AI platforms already save time, we want to save even more time because we still need to go in and enter things, right? So we've developed a tool called the prompt generator, and where essentially you just make selections like, okay, expert type, copywriter or brainstorming partner. You can choose which kind of expert type you want ChatGPT to be, type of text. If it's a copywriter, then you can choose like what type of text you want to write. So we just made it where it's basically like you just make selections and then you also personalize it with this writing summary, like this writing style summary. So that way you can essentially make the selections, have your own voice in it, and then create an ultimate prompt that has your authentic voice in it, if that makes sense.
So basically you're using the Open AI API, right? I've used it quite a bit. You built this,
we actually built this specific tool out of just a Google sheet, and that's been epic because it just makes everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
Also, by the time this is released, it might already be here, but behind the scenes, we're working on an actual automation that's focused on your ideal client analysis. So, and this is, I primarily coach coaches, but I've been speaking in front of other groups of commercial realtors, and I'm talking to attorneys now. There are people who are just like, I just want to be able to market to my ideal client effectively. And so we're developing this tool where all you do is put in a few inputs, and then behind the scenes, we have a very lengthy prompt sequence. And then we leverage AI, and then it comes up with this detailed report on not just the demographics of your authentic ideal client, but their buying habits, their worldviews, their fears, their frustrations, the things that they, we always say what keeps them up at night. It actually has it written in their thoughts of what's coming up for them. So this report, we're really excited to be able to offer, because I know that this is such a pain point for people, and then they'll be able to leverage it and feed that report back into AI. So This is what I'm saying. I know I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole.
No, but I've seen this quite a bit, by the way. I see, that's why I said like promptless AI. It's like I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of people talking about, doesn't mean like prompts doesn't exist. Like, I mean, you need like to tell the AI something,
Yeah.
but it's behind the scenes because some of your, let's say we are working on actually virtual summits AI as well. So we are going to I have a lot of done for you templates and things like that, what we have done. So we can just take this and develop a tool. I've seen like tools that can do certain things like that, like formwise.ai. You can also do it with WordPress forms and integrate OpenAI API basically behind the scenes, a little more technical, but you can do things like that now. And you can build tools for your clients, which is really interesting. Like no matter the market, even if you're a health coach or something, you can build something for like workout plans or something like that. That actually, because that's something you can go to. You can go to ChatGPT now and get something, but it's maybe not personalized to your way of doing
Right.
health coaching or fitness coaching or whatever that is. So I think that is exciting. Actually, this is I think everyone will have some kind of AI built in if they have some program. I think that's what it's gonna go to. And it doesn't mean like you need to develop this massive SaaS or something, but you have something specific to your process. You have a process, right? You have a system that you have worked on with clients for years, and you're basically taking that and like bringing AI into it to just simplify everything for yourself and for your clients. I think that's really exciting for the creator market to have like maybe courses and things like that they can do such things that would cost a lot of money before. Now it's a lot cheaper.
That's just it. I know that even if somebody's watching right now, it's like, oh, geez, I need to know all this technology and, have a team of developers that
And
I'm investing, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's just not true. That's what's so amazing about AI is that you can have a vision of what you want to create and just allow yourself to like really dream big. Like if I could offer my clients something that would save them time and energy and money on this piece of what it is that I do as an entrepreneur, what would it be? Just dream it out. Like think about what would be helpful for you. And so when I was thinking about this, I'm like, gosh, it'd be so nice to have it write copy, but in my voice for me, and not because I have to put in a prompt every single time. But what if it already really understood my authentic voice and understood my authentic ideal client? And it came up with content that was relevant and engaging for them, that was beyond my brain and my market research of a smaller number of people. It's amazing what it can do. I mean, we have a process for that as well, for having it write copy for you, but not just, hey, write this copy for me, right? It's much more in depth. So the quality of the output is so much better than what we're seeing out there as more and more people are using AI. I'm starting to see like kind of cringeworthy copy out there. And I'm like, they're not using good prompts, right? It's like,
do you think
skyrocket their business,
just
right?
on that? It's really interesting because I feel ChatGPT is using a lot of like unleashed and harness and things like that. It's always doing that. I don't know why, but I'm not. I like a lot of. I mean, I know some. I think still like ChatGPT, the Plus plan is like some of the best $20 you can spend. I think still it is that because it's so amazing for ideation. You can come up with different things, subject lines, headlines, whatnot. But I don't think it's the best tool for, if I wanted to create an in-depth blog post from this session, I would not use a tool like ChatGPT. I would go for a specialized tool. You can use ChatGPT as well, but it will just take a lot longer time. I would just like content at scale or a tool like this where I can drop the link or I can do it a lot faster. Specialized tool, I think is where it's at when it comes to like specialized tasks, like blogging. That's why you see cringeworthy content because they are using ChatGPT and they're not editing anything. I just wanted to ask you, Amy, like how much, like even if you're using your process, I think still you would have to edit something. It's not going to be perfect, right? I mean,
I'd say with my process, I believe I can get people like 95% of the way there.
Okay, wow, that's good.
Like, even I use it, like I'll read through it and there are certain words, it might just be a few words here and there, but like I would never use that word. And even if my audience doesn't care whether or not I would use that word, I care, right? So I'll switch it out. Or if it's still a little bit of that sales, salesy, like unleash, when you're saying
I mean, some people still use that actually. I see it that they use it naturally in the market. But if they use it naturally, keep using it, right? Maybe that's their audience. But if it's not you shouldn't use it. And I think especially for personal brands like yourself, like what I'm doing, I think it is important that you stay true to your authentic self and your voice, that you don't let like AI, just because AI might be easier to create a piece of content or an email or whatever. And it might be the content kind of the content you want, but it doesn't sound like you. That's going to ruin your brand eventually, right?
For sure.
So,
there's one more thing that I also want to share with you as far as like what can help you train ChatGPT or AI to sound like your authentic voice, which is Okay, so if you have your writing style summarized, what you can do is use your actual voice. So the way that I train with some workshops and with my clients is
Mhm.
I'll just use like my notes section on my phone, but you can
Okay.
use Otter, OTTER, or one of these transcribing. You just want to transcribe your voice. So this has like a little microphone in the bottom right hand corner to
Mhm.
just transcribe my voice. And what I'll do is what I call the heart speech, right? Of my heart speech model, which is where I can think about what's a topic or a theme that I'm so passionate about that I want infused into my copy or my content that I'm creating. And so, for example, I'm always speaking to authenticity and deep human connection and building relationships. And so, for once, we don't have to think about the whole project of what you're writing. So, say that you're writing an email or a social media post where there's the hook and the call to action and the transition and a story or whatever. Instead of thinking about all of it, you just think about what's this one piece that I want infused into it. And so one like human to human prompt that I'll share with you is what I really want to say is, right? So you can record yourself saying, like, what I really want to say is, I'm taking a stand for authenticity. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is this and this and this, right? So I could do a full heart speech and then I would have that transcribed on my phone and then I could plug that into a prompt along with my writing style
Mhm.
summarize. And when we bring our heart, our voice, what we really want to say into it, then it'll pull from that when it's creating whatever it is you want to create for you.
That's quite creative. I know you can use a lot. I mean, when you're like on the go and things like that, it's also easy to do it. But I think a lot of people, they might speak better than just writing it down, right? You can just
Yeah.
speak from your heart and do that. But is there anything else that goes into like creating a really authentic copy? Anything you do in ChatGPT to make it, do you do a lot of back and forth, I guess, to get it there? I mean, now you have your tool, but like, let's say ChatGPT for everyone
Yeah.
watching here, so they have
Yeah.
access.
Well, we really have been using more of this in Claude, but you can do this in ChatGPT as
Mm.
well. What we discovered is that you can have ChatGPT or Claude really deeply understand your ideal client if you can answer these three questions. Okay. So
Okay.
one, which is this would be an easy one. What type of business do you have? So business model. The second one is what is your purpose? So kind of similar to the heart speech, like why do you do what you do? Right? Why is this important to you? So I would speak into, again, authenticity, deep human connection, building relationships. Like it goes above and beyond business for me, right? It's like if we can just seek to understand and focus on open communication, right? Like there's certain things I'm very passionate about and I infuse it into my business. So business model type, why do you do what you do? So your purpose. And then what is your desired transformation for your clients? So what do you wish for them? So for me, I wish for my clients that they're able to grow and scale their businesses without burning themselves out. My wish for them is that they have confidence and clarity in their messaging and they know how to leverage tools like AI to simplify and streamline things. So they're not, again, I know my ideal client, they don't want to burn themselves out, but they do want to grow, right? So I can speak into that. So if you have
That's
these
the
three inputs, then it can come back to you saying, okay, based on this, you can ask it, based on this, who is my ideal client? Right?
Okay, so that's
That,
like coming up with like the ideal client part. So
yeah,
what's usually when you just do this exercise, what do you usually get from ChatGPT? Do you get like
yeah.
perfect, or do you have to reiterate afterwards, like the
It's
fine tuning?
it's pretty on point. I've noticed it's pretty on point if you're
Wow.
clear with your why and your desired transformation. So what's wild is that we think that we just say, oh, like usually the questions we get in marketing is who do you serve and what problem do you solve? But
Yeah.
instead I'm asking you, what is your purpose and what is your desired transformation for your ideal client? And by putting it into ChatGPT or Claude, it can come back with, who your ideal client is. And then we've taken a much, many steps further to come up with that very detailed analysis so that you can get into the fears and frustrations. I've been blown away by what it comes back with. I've primarily been using this in Claude, but you can use it in ChatGPT as well.
What do you feel? I know the token limit and stuff like that in Claude is higher, but what do you feel is the difference like for you? What do you feel is
Yeah.
like when do you use Claude usually, and when do you use ChatGPT?
Yeah. I'm using Claude more and more for email copywriting and social media copywriting. Uh, I my experience with it is I feel like the quality of the copywriting is better than ChatGPT.
Okay.
And then exactly what you said, it can receive more information, so I can load up several text files and have it use that to create sequence that we've designed. So I know a lot of it is kind of into what we've designed to use with Claude, but I just have found the quality of the copy when used correctly, I think is better in Claude than ChatGPT.
So when you got started, what's some things you defined your ideal client? I mean, you probably were clear on your client for the most. I mean, you have done this for some time, but like
Yeah.
this is like more for your customers, but for yourself, like when you write email copy or sales pages, like do you have a process for this that you go through? Do you use like Claude or ChatGPT for this as well?
Yeah. I primarily now use Claude.
Okay.
Um, for the longest time, we've been training people inside ChatGPT, especially because Claude was only available in the US and the UK for a very long time, or I should say a long time, months. And then now I know it's expanded to like 98 countries or something like that. Still not available everywhere, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
But my process now is where uh, I I upload these 3 text files into Claude that we've designed. So I know this might not be helpful, but it's like, but just so
No,
you
no,
know,
no. It's good.
it's like I upload my own profile that has my writing style. So what I was sharing with you before,
Exactly.
plus that very detailed, lengthy analysis of my ideal client.
Mm.
It also has my purpose and my desired transformation for my ideal client. So that's like a lengthy profile that's very detailed, very customized to me, very customized for my ideal client. So that's one text file. And then I have something called, for now, we're calling it Super Copywriter. So Super
Okay.
Copywriter basically sets it up so it can give me options, and I just make selections like it's a multiple choice kind of an
Got it.
opportunity. And then the third text file is we're calling it like value email guidelines. So basically how I wanted to write for me within these guidelines, right? So
Mm.
kind of thinking about, okay, if I don't want it to say certain things or
Mhm.
be salesy or whatever, then it felt like rules of how
It's
to,
like kind of avoiding certain, we like
yeah,
in email, for example, make money online or like different things, right? Maybe you
yeah,
avoid certain things, certain like words that you don't want to trigger, or certain words that you never say as a person, like because
right.
you just don't say this, like unleashed or whatever,
Yeah.
harness. You don't want to use these kind of words, and also I don't know if you noticed this, but I feel especially in ChatGPT, it gives you very long paragraphs and sometimes sentences or complicated wording. So you have
Mhm.
to kind of give it correct instructions, like just let's say would be a blogger. I want to write like someone who write very simple, like Brian Dean, who is like he writes in a very clear, concise tone, even though it's really in depth and valuable. I think that is stuff like ChatGPT struggles a little bit with this at times, like giving you like even though I'm prompting it, it's giving you like long sentences. That's why I've used a lot of specialized tools for these kind of things. But either way, I think you can do it with the right input basically, and trying to say break it down in bullets and do it in, I think like going back and forth with it works better than just like saying, hey, write this thing. Like it doesn't work that well to do it in one go in ChatGPT.
For sure. I totally agree. And the way that we have our kind of super copyrighted text file setup is where it actually gives me initially 5 like kind of overarching topics that are relevant and engaging to my ideal client. And then I
Mm.
select one of the 5, and then it goes to subtopics. And then I select one of the subtopics, then it goes to
Okay.
fears, frustrations, limiting beliefs. So I'm making selections, and then it's writing copy for me. So we
Mm.
just continue to see how we can streamline it to make it easier for people to leverage AI. And that's why we're excited to develop these automation
Yeah.
tools
I
because
think it's really cool.
people,
Automation has been around for a long time when it comes to email marketing and things like this. But I think just with AI, it just takes things to a whole nother level, right?
totally,
It's
yeah,
it's uh, it's like so cool what you can do. Like even like you can take it to. I mean, you can also be less productive if you're using it too much. Like you can set up crazy things with Zapier, right? And like doing
yes,
all these pulling from sheets and things like that. Like you can do insane things. And with I went through, because I'm doing this series, right? I went through like a lot of tools just to test them, so I'm familiar with pretty much everything. Not everything. There's like thousands of tools, but I've tested a lot and tested a lot of plugins. A lot of them are kind of some of them are really good. That's why I like ChatGPT a lot, because you can do really cool things with the plugins. But I think maybe ChatGPT at some point, or OpenAI, they will like build in a lot of these things. Maybe the plugins are gonna be obsolete. I mean, I think they're just gonna add cool features to it. So it's interesting where we're headed with this actually.
it's amazing. I mean, I it's funny because I know like you and I have been in it for a while, right? But
Yeah.
no matter how much I'm in it, I always feel behind because every day there's something new, right? I was like, wait, what does
Yeah.
that, you know? So
Yeah.
So I just, that's why I'm encouraging people, if they haven't been using it at all, who are, I know there's like skepticism or fear. And the way I look at it, it's as revolutionary as the internet. It's as revolutionary as our phones. At some point, I just believe you just got to get on board, and so that's just my point of view.
Yeah, no, I
That's
100% agree with you. And how was it just to gonna get into the before, like how now you're writing emails like a lot faster, obviously. How like break down your process before to kind of write copy and things like that. It
yeah.
would be interesting kind of to see the difference, like
Oh my
because
gosh.
because you're writing like still like it still sounds like Amy, right? When you're coming
Yes.
so people probably wouldn't see a difference, which is really cool. So what was your process before and how it is now, like with everything you're doing?
Well, interestingly enough, for the longest time I wrote my own copy, and then for a number of years I hired
Of course.
copywriters to support me as I was scaling. And at some point, the timing was kind of perfect. I didn't know about ChatGPT at all, but I was really wanting to just really refine it to be back in my voice even then. And even though I had an exceptional copywriter, I was just ready for a shift, like we do in business. So I lovingly released her and I started to create my own copy again. And then ChatGPT came and I was like, what is this? And so it kind of was all in perfect timing. But whether it was myself writing copy or my copywriter writing copy, it was like every month we would have like our kind of bigger picture plan for the year. But every month we look at the next month, say, okay, let's go through the content calendar, let's see what we have coming up in terms of promotions, whether it's my promotions or if I'm collaborating with someone. And then let's fill the gaps with some other kind of value emails. Okay, what should we write about? What's like it was always like a brainstorming thing.
Mhm.
And once you've been doing this for so long, like you have moments where like, I think I'm a creative person, but I don't know. What should we write about? What do you think? You know? And now
Hey,
it's like we've got AI as a brainstorming partner.
writer's block is no longer a thing, right?
No
I mean
longer
that's just AI solved this, like game over, I
game
think.
over.
Yeah.
Like, right? Exactly, right? So I remember one of my clients saying like, I no longer have writer's block. Like writer's block is no
Yeah.
longer an excuse. And even people who genuinely love to write, what they'll say is that if they're open to it, they'll say, this is great for generating ideas. I still like they might say, I still want to write because I really enjoy it. It's part of my art,
Of
my creativity. But now I have a brainstorming partner. So writer's block just isn't an excuse anymore. It's not an acceptable excuse anymore.
Yeah.
Game
No,
over.
but let's yeah, for example, like just coming up with ideas. I'm sure like if you I mean, before you needed to come up with the headlines or maybe look at other people in your industry and things like that.
Yeah.
Now you can basically go to ChatGPT or your favorite AI tool to get ideas for subject lines, for headlines and things like that. That's like the ultimate. It's not, I wouldn't say like split testing because you don't get the data right there, right? But
Yeah.
you can like test things that you couldn't do before. So I don't know.
For
Do you
sure.
have some examples of like where you have like got because I sometimes mash things together, at least for me. I don't always like the options, but I see, okay, this word is interesting. Like I don't like unleashed, but I like the
Right.
you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so sometimes gives me like I mean 10 you can because you can just continue, right? You can do 100 options if you want to, if you don't like
Yes.
something. Because like give me more, give me more. Like that's the ultimate partner for any business, I would say.
Yeah. What I've really loved using it for is creating these value emails, meaning
Mhm.
I've noticed recently I like to ask entrepreneurs all the time, like, what is the copy or content that you notice that you sometimes procrastinate or put off, right? Because you're busy with other things. And I hate to admit this, but for me, it was value emails because I do a lot of promoting. I host a lot of virtual events and workshops. I love collaborating with other entrepreneurs. And so I'll be promoting them. But when I really took a moment to think about it, I thought, gosh, I really care about building solid relationship with my audience. And yeah, I feel like I'm like, pro, right? I'm like, I should send some emails that are just sheer
Yeah, and then
value.
you slowly see your email open rates decline. I've seen this
Right?
myself before because you're coming in this promotion hamster wheel. Like you need to because you have maybe promised other people to promote and things like that, but then you don't have any value in between, and your audience. I mean, although your audience like what you're doing,
Yeah.
it's promote, promote, and promote. And I think what creators in general, like the creator economy, has done. There's like a lot of people have value newsletters, right? That was not as common before. Like was more
Yeah.
like the promotional cycle. But I think now has changed a little bit. So people actually do have a lot of valuable newsletters and things like that. So I
Which
do
is
think if
great.
you, yeah, and I do think it gets easier with AI to just help with this. So tell me a little bit about the process. Value emails. What's a value email for you? Like, what
Yeah.
does that look like usually?
So value emails is exactly similar to the process that I told you about before,
Yeah.
where I'll use Claude with those 3 text
Sure.
files that I'll upload. And
Yeah.
that way it'll help me come up with, just make selections of the topics that are relevant
Mhm.
and engaging to my ideal client. So I just make selections and it's, it's slightly different every time, but there is a
Of course.
consistency of themes that I totally resonate with, that my ideal clients resonate with.
Mhm.
And so I'm creating, I've gotten into a habit where every morning that it's become part of my morning ritual. After my
Okay.
workout, I'll come home and the
Nice.
first thing I'll do is write a value email for my audience so that I just have like a
Oh,
Google Doc now of like all these value emails so that we're getting into the rhythm of sending out at least 2. I want to bump it up to 3 value emails where it's not about a call to action or a promotion. It's just like, here's something that I think will be valuable for you,
like, it's kind of like a how-to in some way, like how to do
Sometimes, yeah.
something, or
There's
like a story or something like that. Can be a story as well, I
be a
guess. From
story. It could be a tip or a few tips on
Mhm.
how to do something better or a mindset shift. With mine, they often come down to, creating authentic marketing to attract your ideal clients, or it may come down to streamlining workflow. Because a lot of my clients say, again, they say that they want to grow and scale with team and all that, but they want to like reduce burnout. So there's some like reducing of burnout or overcoming imposter syndrome. There's different topics. And so I'll
Yeah,
make
yeah.
those selections and it writes this really beautiful copy that is using my writing style and voice and
Yeah,
considering my ideal client's voice. And so I've been very happy with the output.
that's
It's
awesome.
like just
So
tweaking
in
little
in
things.
these emails, do you offer like do you have a CTA in these emails, like or
Sometimes
like a
every once
soft
in a while.
CTA, like PS, or kind
Yeah.
of like a link to a resource or something like that? I guess
Yeah.
that's
So
fine.
something that I'll do is I may have like a light CTA to them
Yeah.
where if this is something that you're wanting support on and you want to explore working together, click here to apply for a call, like click to apply for like a call. Cause I'm so protective of my time at this point in my journey, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm going to get on a call with someone, it's because they represent my ideal client. Whether or not they end up working with me is of course up to them. But so we now have an application. So it's just like click here to apply for, or I might not even say apply, click here to answer a few questions so I can see how I can best support you. Right. And that
Yeah.
way they can fill it out. And then I have a team member that goes through to kind of filter it and see who does it make sense for me to jump on a call with. And then who can we simply send some resources or invite them to an upcoming workshop or send them a recording of something I've done in the past that'll support them. So it's a light CTA if I choose
Yeah.
one in there. Yeah.
How often do you do like the sales cycle? Do you do that quite often, or like once a month? What's your
Yeah.
strategy for this?
This year, especially because when I dove into AI, I could have never predicted what was going to happen. I literally had a workshop scheduled on January 16th of this year. And so I just got into ChatGPT for like a little over a month, right? And so it's going to
Yeah.
be on selling high ticket VIP days. And I decided to just add one bullet point that I updated in my copy that said, and how to use ChatGPT for all your promotional materials for your VIP days. And my opt-ins went through the roof. Like I didn't do anything else except that one bullet point. I was like, oh my
There
gosh.
you go.
And
Yeah, that's amazing, and I see that across the board. Like, it's not
yeah,
only you. I think even if you, that's also a trend I see. Like, I shared this a lot before, but I think like a lot of tools that we are already using, they're just adding like AI, or maybe they had AI, but they didn't like promote it as much on their website and things like in their marketing. But a lot of tools are just adding it. I think that's what we're gonna see. Like Canva just adding crazy AI. It's like amazing. They added crazy AI features. We have tools like Descript. They have like so many AI features. You barely, like, if you're doing simple videos, like not like crazy editing, you can just use Descript to do everything basically for a podcast or YouTube video. I mean, it's insane. Even like studio sound, if you don't have, that's all AI based, and like the transcriptions and the speaking, like when we are speaking right now, we are using Riverside for this one. You can like detect like when I'm speaking, when you're speaking, and things like that. And that's been a thing for a while. It's just now with generative AI, it's just taking it to a whole nother level.
that's just it. It's just opened up so many opportunities and doors. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I think it's just about being on top of it, right? Like really understanding it so that as more and more people talk about it, then you're in the conversation, right? And so, um,
Yeah.
it just opened up a lot of connections, and I've never had my phone blow up as much as it has this year about like, because I was into it kind of early on, I mean, not as early on as people who've been in AI for
Yeah, yeah.
years. And as far as ChatGPT, I mean, They're like, oh, you're the expert. And so I didn't identify as an expert initially, but because I was so deep in it for months, like, I mean, at countless hours, I was like, okay, maybe I do have some expertise here. And now, like, whenever people come to myself, my partner can, like,
Mm.
they love this perspective of bringing
No,
authenticity.
because you already had an audience, you had a set of clients, and in their eyes, you are the expert. Like maybe you are, I mean, that's the same. There's always gonna people. I just had a session with someone from IBM. He's been in AI for 12 years. He comes
Yeah.
from a different background. So it's like, but they are not educating coaches. So it's like, it's different, you know, like I feel there's always gonna be people, there's people who worked in AI for like 20 plus years. And but we probably have known about it like for a few years, right? We probably
Yeah.
heard it, artificial intelligence, what is that? But like it was probably not until like, you know, maybe Grammarly, they had a lot of AI like many years, you know, with like
Sure.
I think that's one of the early tools a lot of people are using. And then obviously Jasper and Copy.ai, it's kind of the transition. And now a lot of people, especially in the entrepreneur space and things, they know what ChatGPT is, of course, but a lot of people, they don't know how to use it. But the overall population, I think they are really not using AI that much. Maybe when their job is taken by at some point, they will like get into it. Who knows? Because that's what's gonna happen if you're not getting ahead. You know, you're gonna be replaced by someone using AI. I think not just. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing.
That's just it. People are afraid like, oh, it's going to replace me. It's like, not if you're using it, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're using it, I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know what everyone's job situation is, but
Well, yeah.
if you're using it, you're ahead of the game. I spoke at an event earlier this year in person. And after I spoke, you know, I had people coming up to me and wanting to chat. And this one woman came up to me and she seemed a little bit like hesitant to connect with me. I was like, you know, like I'm pretty warm and friendly, I think. Right. And she's
Yeah.
like, help me, I'm so and so, you know, just said, I'm a copywriter. And so as we were talking on the stage, I just felt like so much fear and anxiety coming up because I feel like you're speaking into the very thing that's taking over my industry. And like I can feel her like frustration with that. And I looked her in the eyes and I said, here's the thing. You actually have the greatest advantage because you're a copywriter. And if you're a good copywriter, you know words and messaging and you know how to connect your clients with their clients, right? Like if you're copywriting for people. So if you just learn to use this tool, if I were a professional copywriter, I'd go to all my clients and say, hey, I know AI has come out with a lot of tools for writing copy. Someone still has to push the buttons, right? Someone still has to prompt it. Someone still has to use it.
Mhm.
I know you and I know your authentic ideal client. And now we can leverage this and amplify your voice across more platforms because time is no longer an issue,
I love
right?
that.
So
That's
I
so
just
good. Yeah.
coaching. I was like, stop being so afraid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a messaging person, right? Like, yes, I'm a business coach, but the core of it's messaging. I could be saying the same thing. Who's going to come to me for messaging, right? They're just going to go to
Mm.
ChatGPT. I'm like, no, because somebody still has to know how to use ChatGPT with messaging. So I think that hopefully
Yeah, I love that actually. This example, and basically that gets rid of a lot of people, a lot of bad copywriters, a lot of bad content creators, like
yeah,
you know, just producing average content because you can do it with AI. But if you're a great copywriter or blogger or whatever, and you amplify things with the help of AI as an assistant, you're gonna
yeah,
just stand out. Like I've spoken to copywriters before. They're not afraid. They're like, you know, if someone wants to hire me for, let's say, you know, 5 figures, $50,000, they can do it. Even if you hire the best copywriter in the world, you know, that's someone that I just spoke to, John Benson. He said, even if you hire me, like he's charging crazy money for his copy, he was like, you're still gonna edit like 20 to 15, like 15 to 20%. That's like, you need to hire an editor still, even if you hire the best copywriter. It's the same when you work with AI. Like, so I think the process hasn't changed all that much. It just can be more efficient for someone maybe getting started or someone who just I mean, you have described your process like to do it exactly in your voice. It just takes a little bit of iteration. Otherwise, you're going to get pretty mediocre copy, I think.
exactly. Exactly.
Here's a question, like, do you create a lot of lead magnets and things like that? Do you use that as well for, like, for example, coming up with PDFs or things that you give your audience? Do you use AI for this as well to
I
just come up
do.
with the content for it?
I've been hosting workshops. So I love streamlining and systematizing in my business. And so this year, once I started getting so many requests to train on authenticity and I started to do at least one workshop, sometimes two workshops every single month. And then I've also created things to like go along with it, right? So for example, I've created documents or like worksheets to go along with some of my workshops that I've done over the months. I really love that. So if you have a workshop, webinar, masterclass coming up, and you want to include with the opt-in, a really great workbook that also adds value, then just use AI to write it for you. If you just describe your workshop or give it your outline and say, hey, write a copy for a workbook that'll go along with my
You can,
webinar.
I don't know if you've tried this. You can,
Yeah.
of course, you can upload like a transcript or something, but you can actually probably take the link from, I don't know where you you can, if you have a pre-recorded one, I guess you can upload it or something like that. Or you probably have you've done the workshop once to practice. Then you can get the workbook questions or whatever from this, or an action guide. It's really good at this stuff, I feel like. I just tested like a few plugins for ChatGPT as well, but you can upload, you can upload a transcript to Claude or to ChatGPT as well, and just get this action guide or like the bullet points from the session. So you can just give this to your audience. That would actually, you would have to hire someone for this before. I remember for some summits I did, I hired someone for like thousands of dollars to the action guide. We made profit on this, but it's still like, I sold it like as a downsell for one summit before. Now I could just, if I wanted to do this, I wouldn't sell this probably today, but I could just do this, like to take like, with the help of AI, creating all this content without hiring someone, which is pretty wild.
Really cool, especially because if you're hosting a lot of, whether you're posting live workshops, webinars, masterclasses, or if you're doing an evergreen recorded one, people may or may not ever come to your live workshop. They may or may not ever watch your on-demand video or your evergreen webinar, whatever. But if you have something that's downloadable that goes along with it, then I see it as like an opportunity to increase your opt-in rate, because even if they don't come, they'll be like, oh, well, at least I get the workbook and I'll get to watching the thing later. Right. So it's a really great way to increase those opt-ins. And, at the end of the day, if you increase opt-ins and if you increase like the amount of leads that you get, right, then of course you're going to call for more of your ideal clients.
I'm curious to know this, because you have a small but mighty team, I think, right? And then you basically, something I don't know if you've experimented with this, but like a knowledge base, for example, based on your knowledge, or AI powered customer support, just to give a better experience to your clients and customers, right? Have you dabbled with this a little bit as well, like to upload kind of your knowledge and have like an Amy bot or something like that? Is that something you've done?
I've thought about it for sure. I would love to have something like that. I haven't played with that specifically yet, but my team and I have definitely had conversations about it, because there's so many, I'm sure like you've been in business for a long time too, right? There's things you say over and over and over again.
It's repeating, and I have to answer it again. I'm tired of it. Like virtual summits questions I'm getting all the time. I don't want to answer the same questions.
Even though you might have like an online portal, right? Like for my Powerhouse Mastermind, we have an online portal. And I'm always like, go on the portal, like do a search. Like it's organized. We have like, like our latest version of it. It's so organized. It's got everything you need. But I think we're just in a day and age where people just want to be able to text somebody and say, help me with this, right? They want live support. And
this is kind of as close as live. I mean, you're not going to have like someone 24/7. You don't, but you have someone that can get access to your knowledge without going to your blog or going to your old content or something like that. I think this is a game changer, not only for online creators, also teachers, any form of teacher, like whether that's in the academic world or that's in the creator online world, right? Coaches and things like that.
Yes.
And I found, I don't know if you know these tools, like Searchy, I think is pretty good they have like Search Wisdom AI, which is really, I love what Stu McLaren is doing with this. And also like Wonder Chat. I've seen a few tools like it. You can also develop your own if you're like, you want to have it. There's also no code tools for certain things, but I feel like there's some platforms that you just pay like a monthly for the credits or whatever they give you and the requests basically. And it's just really easy. You upload a PDF, or you can upload your sitemap from your blog, which is just a link. Like if you have WordPress, you have a sitemap. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I think just like getting all the knowledge from your blog can be like tons of content uploaded.
So good. It's endless. Like it's amazing how like limitless it is. It's just, I wrote down Amy bot. So I'm like, I need an Amy bot.
I haven't set up mine. I'm playing with, at the time we record, I will set up this. I'm going to set up this for my members area to have like all the, also like I'm doing something similar for like all these sessions. I'm going to have something like, so I'm just thinking how that will work, because I can upload these sessions. So I can actually get knowledge from a lot of speakers. It will be just interesting to see what I do with this.
That's what's so wild. Like if you can upload information on something, you can have an interaction
Uh-huh.
with it, right?
The chat is like something organic, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, you can also have fallback live support. So maybe your team member or yourself, maybe because this is limited, right? It's not like ChatGPT. They will give you
Right.
any answer, basically. I mean, there's anything that's online. When you feed like this knowledge base or this like bot, basically the information that will be limited to what it knows. That's kind of the cool thing. So will not answer something crazy that is not like accurate for your business. Let's say Amy has a discount right now. No, you don't have it. Like it's not gonna say that, or like something that you wouldn't say because you've uploaded information. I think that's pretty cool, and that's just gonna scale customer support, engagement, interactions. I think that's kind of where it's moving. But I just wanted to, before we kind of wrap this one up, I wanted to touch upon a few things. Have you dabbled with like cloning your voice, have an avatar? Is that something you're interested in, like to see kind of where things are going in the future?
I haven't. I mean, I have colleagues and friends who are deep in that, and
Yeah.
I've seen that sometimes they'll send me like, say, Amy, tell me, like, be honest. Does it look and sound like me? Is it?
Uh,
And maybe at some point, but it's still like I'm so
yeah.
all about communication. And the one thing I've noticed is that say that they have a clone of themselves, right? It's video, it's audio.
Mhm.
It looks like them, it sounds like them, but their nonverbal communication is just not there.
It's
And I'm
off,
sure,
right?
like I'm willing to bet it'll get better and better and better, of
For
course,
sure.
right? Just like everything, but it just feels a little bit creepy to yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked you this because you're all about authenticity. So I think this is obviously
Yeah.
not the most authentic. I mean, you can make it. I think it has a use case. For example, if you, I saw even in this script, you can have like now you can clone your voice in a few minutes. You just read a text for like a few, like a really short text. It clones your voice. I would say it's maybe 80 to 85% good, but probably the tonality is a little bit off. But it sounded like me
Yeah.
exactly, more or less. But so it's good enough, I would say, better than taking a random AI voice to read your blog post. You can
True.
take like your AI voice to read because it's gonna take. Imagine you have 100 blog posts on your site, and you just want, if someone doesn't like to read, they can listen to it. I think for
Yeah.
this use case is good. You don't need to be 100% authentic and when you're just reading a text, right? But when
Right.
you're showing up to your clients and things like that, or maybe doing things like we are doing now, that's maybe in the future. Let's see. Maybe in a few years, we are doing like you have your avatar, and actually, you can be like, I don't know if you saw Lex Friedman and Mark Zuckerberg. They were doing something like this, and it's like, yeah, you have to like for the average person, it's not there yet, but it's getting pretty wild what you can do. It's pretty crazy, to be honest. Yeah. So to wrap this up, what's the number one piece of advice you would give creators to get started with AI and implement this in their business?
I would say just start. And just one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten whenever I'm feeling resistance or anything is just start. And if you just get into it and start experimenting with it, and even if there's anything that's like holding you back, if there's fear or skepticism, just try it. And if you really hate it, then that's up to you. But I would just say that AI is not going anywhere. And I really believe that ultimately a majority of the world, a vast majority of the world will be leveraging this. And to me, it's just like a cell phone. There are people who probably resist it. They're like, why would I want a phone with me all the time? It's so much more than a phone now, right? I just feel like the sooner you can just start, get into it, play with it, use some of the things we've talked about today. And I'm sure there's so many other great interviews you've had as part of this experience. Just take the tips that are relevant to you, that resonate with you. And I mean, the two things that made the biggest difference for me were exactly what I shared earlier, having it analyze your unique writing style and voice, and then transcribing your voice so that you can bring yourself into AI and then have it create something for you.
So finally, was there any question that you wanted me to ask but I didn't ask, or any final words of wisdom you want to give everyone watching this session?
What I'd love to say is that at the end of the day, this tool, I truly believe, is here to not replace you, but it's here to amplify your own voice and amplify what you want to bring into the world. I mean, if you think about it, what used to take hours and hours and hours to write, copy, or any form of content or communication can now be written in minutes. And so if you have a message that you want to share with the world, if you have the desire to really just make that impact, I would say leverage AI. It's here to support you. It's here to amplify you. Imagine just having your voice amplified across multiple platforms with so much less time and energy and effort. That's what it's here for. So I would say use that, amplify your message, amplify your voice, and make the impact that you're here to make.
Awesome. And where is the best place to connect with you? Your website, or where do you want people to
Yeah,
connect more with you if
my
they want to find you?
website, Instagram, you can DM me. Everything's under Amy Yamada. So it's
Yeah.
amyyamada.com or at Amy Yamada. You can find me online on
Yeah, you
Facebook.
find her everywhere under her name. So building like this personal brand. I leave some links in the description. Be sure to leave your takeaway from this session in the comments, and connect with Amy as well. I will be in there checking in too. And subscribe to the channel, like this video as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.